Okay, welcome again. We continue traveling around the world, and this is our course, Competitiveness Module 8. This is the week number 9, and today we want to learn about a great culture also. This is the Japanese culture, so welcome to the class. And here we have the goals, so provide tools to the student to increase the possibilities of entering the labor and business marketing. Remember that learning about the culture, we can make a lot of businesses with people around the world, and we want to take advantage of these opportunities for professional self-improvement. We're going to learn today about the Japanese culture and also the different cultures and societies in the world. Okay, here we have some quotes that are traditionals for the Japanese culture. The first one is a Japanese proverb that says, "A man's word is his honor." You see how important and how this really impact me, these words. A man's word is his honor. Japan not only a very city that thrives on electronics and efficiency, actually has an almost sacred appreciation of nature. One must travel outside of Tokyo to truly experience the old Japan and more important feel this aspect of Japanese culture. The third one, when you look at Japanese tradition, the architecture, you have to look at Japanese culture and its relationship with nature. You can actually live in harmonies, a close contact with nature. This is very unique to Japan. And the last one, Japan is not a Western democracy. The Japanese have kept their traditions, culture, and heritage, but they have joined the community for free nation. So, welcome to the Japanese culture today. Okay, Japanese culture and traditions is complex, but also there is a beautiful culture. This blog will highlight some of the things to know for traveling or to doing business in Japan. Japan, pronounced in Japanese as Nippon or Nihon, is a Pacific Ocean island nation off the coast of mainland Asia. It is composed of approximately 6,900 islands. Imagine that, 6,900 islands. The most prominent and populous islands are Honshu, Hokkaido, Shikoku, and Kyushu, making up 97% of the country. So these 4 islands make the 97% of the country, of these 6,900. Imagine that. Within these islands, there are 40% prefectures with a total population of, check this date, 127 million people. So this is the 11th the country with most population around the world. 73% of the country is mountainous. However, a majority of people live on the coastlines, making it one of the most densely populated countries in the world. The language. The national language, well, of course, is Japanese, which is the primary spoken language across the country. We have a second one, the Old Japanese, or Kanbun, originate from China, and the earliest Japanese text, the Kokiji, was written in the early 8th century and was written primarily in ancient Chinese characters. So the modern Japanese developed during the Edo period between 1603 and 1868. So the modern Japanese consists of 3 different alphabets. You see all these beautiful graphics that they have in the alphabet? Well, they have a division. They have 3 types of alphabet. The first one is called kanji, second one hiragana, and the third one katakana. The first one, the kanji, is a logographic Chinese character, so this has part of the Chinese culture. The hiragana is a phonetic Japanese alphabet. Something here, they use a lot of sounds when we talk. That's why the phonetic is important part of this alphabet. And the katakana is a phonetic alphabet used for foreign words. So it's a mix of this. The developed and widespread use of katakana is illustrative of Japan's recent adoption of Western cultures, ideas, and words. So you will find in here the new Japanese, the modern Japanese, the old Japanese, the Kanban, and also this mix that is the katakana in the phonetic alphabet. Okay, and we want to talk a little bit more about the beliefs, the Japanese religion. For centuries, Japan has operated a synchronic system. We want to learn about Shinto, about the Buddhism, and the Japanese belief system. Religion in Japan is a wonderful mishmash of ideas from Shintoism and Buddhism. Unlikely in the West, religion in Japan is rarely preached, nor was it as a doctrine, instead as a moral code, a way of living. This is the way that we live, and they respect these codes of their religion, almost indistinguishable from Japanese social and cultural values. Japanese religion is also a private family affair. It is separate from the state. There are no religious prayers or symbols in a school or graduation ceremony, for example. Well, religion is rarely discussed in everyday life, and the majority of Japanese do not worship regularly or claim to be religious. However, most people turn to religious rituals in birth, marriage, and death, and take part in a spiritual maturity of festivals through the year. That's why it's so important that we understand how the Japanese people see the religion. Okay, we want to talk also about the Japanese food. Well, it's so delicious. For many visitors to Japan, food is the main event. Well, I thought that Japanese principally famous for sushi, if you like sushi, tempura, Kobe, beef, and teriyaki, the chicken. There is a lot of dishes to try. The rice is the main plate, is the base of the Japanese food. Once tried it as a currency, imagine that. They use as a coin the rice in the old times, in history. Rice has been a staple food for the Japanese for even 2,000 years, and it still accompanies or forms the base of many meals. Seasonal and local food. Well, Japan is very proud of its very distinctive season. In each season marks the beginning of more delicious offerings. So depends the season, they change the type of food that they offer. This is very evident in supermarkets, hotels, and inns and restaurants, where menus are frequently changed to reflect that is available and what is in season. So depends the season, is the way that they eat. The fish is also really important part of the Japanese food. It is fair to say that fish is an integral part of the Japanese diet. Whatever is eaten and almost leave the adugari still dancing, so it's like you're eating an alive fish, the raw, like the inanama, or also sashimi. I don't know if you have to try all this. Grill or deep fry, the tempura. It seems that the Japanese have tried and tested every possible method of preparation of fish. So this is the base of the Japanese food. We have the fish, depends the season, and also the rice. Okay, we want to talk now about the Japanese garden. This is also part of the Japanese culture. The three great gardens of Japan are Kenryuken in Kanazawa, Kairakyun in Mito, which has more than 3,000 plum trees, and Korakyuin in Okinawa. So above all, Japanese garden demonstrative the various influences that were brought into Japan in 1612. Imagine that. Ono no Imoko, an emissary from Japan, he visited China. So you see, Japan has a lot of culture that is part of China, and was able to absorb enough to the Buddhist way of life to recreate it once he returned home. At this time, gardens in Japan were solely created as a religious representation of various beliefs, which established a comfortable common ground with the Chinese Buddhists. Every element of a Buddhist garden bears with religion significance. So as you see here, the Japanese gardens are related to the religions. Pathways lead to enlightenment, whilst the soil represents the fertility and nurturing nature of Buddha's mind. Nonetheless, with some of the Buddhist ideas were adopted in Japan. It was not to be at the expense of the ancient Japanese religion, like the Shinto says. It has always been firmly believed that the two religions, the Shinto and Buddhism, are the two coexist, but they coexist in harmony. Rather than separate each other to the religions intertwine, this fusion of religion is widely demonstrated in Japanese culture, reflect with the foundation design of Japanese gardens. So the Japanese gardens are designed for the Shinto and the Buddhist religions. Okay, the samurai and the way of the warrior. So in here we have these warriors that probably we just have seen in some movies. For those interested in Japanese history, well, samurai culture and the role of this military class play in shaping Japan is a fascinating one. Although samurais no longer exist, the influence of these great warriors still manifests itself deeply in Japanese culture, and samurai heritage can be seen all over Japan. Be it a great castle, a careful playing garden, or beautiful preserved samurai residences, it's also deeply integrated in the psyche of the Japanese people. The basis of samurai conduct is Bushido, the way of the warrior. That's what it means, Bushido, the way of the warriors. This unique philosophy values honor, reckless bravery, and selflessness, as well as duty to the warrior's master with the purpose of giving up life and embrace death. There was no place for fear in the way of the warrior. This conduct of self-discipline and respectful ethical behavior was to become the role model behaviorally for other classes through Japan's history. Okay, and the history of origami is also part of the Japanese culture. So when you fold, the ritual of creation is more important than the final result. When your hands are busy, your heart is serene. You see how impact this phrase. When your hands are busy, your heart is serene. This was created to Akira Yoshizawa, the grandfather of modern origami. See, this is another part of the Japanese culture. Origami has so increasingly been recognized as being an effective way to practice mindfulness and to increase well-being. It possesses a meditative quality and it also slow and precise. And who was Akira Yoshizawa? He was the grandmaster of paper folding. He was born in 1911. Yoshizawa was perhaps the first true origami model-making genius. He learned origami as a child before rekindling his interest in folding when he used to understand and communicate geometrical problems in his job as a technical draftsman. So the origami also have geometric problems. In 1954, he published Atarashi Origami Geitsu, that it means new origami art. This revolutionary work introduced a style of system of notation of origami diagrams. So this is the larger that we use today, but so as a culture we need to know who was the grand master of paper folder, and his name was Akira Yoshizawa. The traditional sports, we want to talk about some sports from Japan. So sports play a significant role in Japanese culture. The sumo, the judo, and karate are traditional Japanese sports, and like baseball, soccer, and rugby have been adopted from other cultures. Sumo is the national sport of Japan. Remember that part. Sumo is the national sport of Japan, and to this day is primarily practiced only in Japan. Modern sumo was formed during the Edo era, and the lyric has changed since then. Well, baseball is another sport in the country. It was first introduced for the country in 1872 and has grown in popularity even since. The sumo, we have the different sports here: sumo, kendo, karate, aikido, and judo. This is part of the Japanese culture. The sumo, well, remember that is the national sport. In its root in Japanese culture, sumo has a history over 1,500 years. Imagine that. So this is a legend sport. The kendo is the furious, noisy sport of kendo. It's perhaps Japan's oldest martial art. Because they have these skills and this bravery. The karate, this is almost famous in a martial art. And the Aikido is sometimes loosely translated to mean weight of the harmonious spirit. And the Judo, all of the Japanese martial arts, Judo is perhaps one that is spread most successfully around the world. And here we have the questions for this week. So please answer this question. Question number 1, what is the national language in Japan? 2, the Japanese garden are influenced by, remember that we talk about the religion. The basis of samurai conduct is, who was the grand master of folding paper called origami? You have to give me that name. And which is the national sport in Japan? Well, thank you so much for your attention, and I hope that you really learn a lot about the Japanese culture.